What are your thoughts on Vader?
I never had a problem with him. I was as far away from me to you when that fight happened with him and Paul Orndorff, and I don't know if it was. I mean, Vader was some of the guys back then because the management gave them so much money, and business was good, and everybody felt like they were indispensable. I mean, they could do whatever they wanted. And I just said to Vader, I said, "Look, man, when you get done here, can you go do an interview for us?" And he said, "Sure." He says, "I just got out of a photo shoot. I just got to change, and I'll be there." Well, Paul Orndorff, who's pretty tightly wound. I mean, he's a good guy, but I mean, they invented Paxil for guys like Paul, which is a mood leveler. Paul, for some reason, I guess he thought that either Vader didn't come for a reason or something, but he went in there and just started, "You fat tub of shit, prima donna, son of a da 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 da." Vader was like, and I'm not saying Paul was wrong. I'm not saying he was right. I'm not saying Vader was wrong or right. It was just one of those deals where neither side took the time to figure out what really was. It's just the emotion boiled up. Paul walked away. Vader slow burned. Boy, that next thing, Vader, they get face to face like two high school kids and chest to chest. Paul was salty, but he only had one arm left from that neck thing. Vader just bear paws him, boom. Paul's head and feet change places, boom, down he goes. There's two boxes of like wood there, and Paul staggers. I mean, his eyes are glazed. It'd have killed anybody else. Here comes Paul, and then he and Vader start getting into it. And somehow Vader takes a bump, and Paul kicked him right in the face, and the blood went on me, and then we get them apart. And it's the kind of stuff that you never want to see, but because of the competitive nature, big people, egos, it was a bad deal.
What was your thoughts when Bill Watts came back to power in WCW?
I was happy. When Bill came back, I said, my contract's coming up. He's going to renew me. I was part of that package that helped make him a millionaire in Louisiana. And, he knows that I'll work hard, and I just know this is going to be good.
What happened?
He let me go. I was the first person he released.
Why do you think that?
Well, he told me, he says, "You've been here too long." I said, "I've been here 2 years." You had Rick and all the, and it doesn't matter what I thought. I couldn't believe it. That's why in this business, I never take anything for granted, ever. Every day's a gift.
Now, from there, where did you go? Did you eventually come back as a non-worker and start with the office?
No, when he let me go, that's when I went to the WWF my second time. I was wrong before. That's when I went. I think, was that 94?
Yeah, I believe.
I think it was 94. I went to the WWF for a year. Vince was nice enough to take me back, man, because I'd quit, or 3 years before that, because I was stupid and just walked out. Watts said, "You've been here too long." He let Barn go, he let Bobby, and he brought him back, but cut their money and stuff. And the company was in a mess. They were losing money, and there was no incentive, and Bill did what he thought he had to do.
Now, when you went to the World Wrestling Federation, how different was that, or was it the same old company?
No, it was good. It was better. The business wasn't good, but it was still, the major leagues. And that's when a year in, I just said, "You're cutting back. Go ahead and please let me go." And Vince McMahon said, "Yeah." And he said, "No hard feelings."
What were your initial impressions when Eric Bischoff took over WCW?
I didn't know Eric. I knew he was an announcer. I didn't, my wife tells me I just kind of like float through life because I don't examine things, because I got all these friends that just, examine things and pick it apart and spin these conspiracies. And I don't have time or the energy to do that. I guess I'm like an ostrich.
Right.
Just keep my ass up in the air and keep my head down. I don't know. I didn't know. And it didn't matter. I would have found out how he was going to be. I just didn't worry about it when he got hired.
What are your thoughts on Kevin Sullivan?
I think Kevin's real creative. I mean, when Kevin was booking, he was smart and he was sharp, and he had these wild ideas that were like different for wrestling. He was the first guy to ever come up through the ring. I think it was Dusty and either Mulligan or Mark Lewin or
Jake
something.
Roberts.
Was that who it was in Lakeland? And he had
81, I think.
cut the board, cut the mat and stuff.
Right.
Through, and some lady had a heart attack. I mean, Kevin was smart. I mean, he knew what to do. It's just sometimes dealing with the personalities and all that. And if the office isn't behind you 100%, it's very tough. And I think Kevin just got burnt out.
Do you think that guys, as far as performers, should be able to book at the same time, or do you think it's bad for the business?
I think anybody that's ever booked and worked will tell you that it's too hard. It's nice because you can put yourself on top and become this huge star, but we lose all sense of, being subjective and being able to just look at things and be objective.
What are your thoughts on the Radicals holding out and jumping over to Vince?
I was in the office and,
was there a lot of problems with Kevin Sullivan and Benoit at the time because of Nancy? Or?
What do you think?
Obviously, yeah.
It was a very volatile situation that it had explosion written over it a lot. It's another one of those deals. We're all human beings. We have emotion. We love. We hate. In that close proximity, things happen. And I don't think anybody expects for, Chris and Nancy to end up like they did. Kevin tried, I'm sure, to make it, as professionally as he could. But when, Russo got, sent home, there was a lot of people who had been brought to the forefront that now that, Russo was gone, felt like that was not going to continue. And did they overreact? In my opinion, yeah. They didn't give the new booker a chance to see what he would do. They immediately just went, and just knee-jerked and said, we're leaving. And Bill Bush said, not knowing talent is emotional, and sometimes there is a cooling off period. Just said, if they don't want to be here, let them go. And he did.
Do you think that Vince Russo's total reign in WCW did more damage than good? And what are your thoughts on Vince Russo as champion? Do you think it hurt? Well, obviously it hurt the belt.
I don't think he was ever champion. I know that that's the way it ended up, but the way it was written, it was supposed to be up in the air.
Right.
The belt was in the air, but he left first, so he had it.
What about even David Arquette, for that matter?
My whole first run in the WWF, I had to get rid of the 80s wrestling mentality to get with the showbiz, the emotion, the camera shots, the pyro, the girls, and the TNA. And, excuse me. Do I think David, now looking back on it, the way we looked at it then is, I wasn't against it, I'll tell you the truth.
Whose idea was it?
I don't know. Why point the finger?
Okay.
We were a committee and we agreed to do it. But the deal was we thought that Arquette would get on Jay Leno and give us publicity that we normally wouldn't get. And with the company being down, we didn't think that was a bad thing. And it didn't quite work out the way we thought it would. We didn't get the Lenos. We didn't get the big perk. We got a lot of fans that were just disgusted with what we had done. And we make decisions and we stand by them. We made a mistake.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.